I have no snare in my headphones. This is the Gorp Show. Today, Gorp stands for Gustavo Fring, Ozymandias, Rowdy Roddy Piper, and Putin. We're talking about
The
bad
Pipe Man.
guys. Talking about the bad boys, the villains of our real world and our fantasy worlds and fiction and such. My name is Josh. Welcome to the show. Who else is around here?
I'm Fry. We got two special guests that are slowly inching their way into our permanent party, it seems. Lizette, welcome to the show. Where can they reach you?
You can reach me at TheSadFan. You can also look us up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Samsung Podcasts on Let's Hablar Podcast and Let's Hablar Solita. But you can also find us on TikTok and Instagram.
Solita.
And Santi, welcome to the show. Where can they find you?
They can reach me at It's Santi with 2 I's _ on YouTube and Instagram.
Where
Nice.
you can gram with them instantly.
Yes. Get those grams, golden grams. Dad jokes. We got them all over here at the Gorp Show. The receptacle today is going to be the Dungeon Master's Guide to Dungeons and Dragons. So all the bad guys are in here. You know what I mean? It's a little play on words. Let's go with our first one. First topic. Anti-heroes, not quite villains, not quite good guys. Who's your favorites? Who stands out? I would think one of my favorites that stands out that I don't think gets a lot of he gets overshadowed by people like the Punisher or Batman and whatnot. Old school Hulk is just a really cool anti-hero. I mean, it's not like no one's heard of him, of course, but I was just thinking about like the first Avengers movie when he goes all Hulk mode the first time, and he's like terrifying. It was really cool to see that version of Hulk. Bring back the old Hulk, please. And, just a really cool character where, he's just like some pacifistic scientist boy who, but when he gets angry, he destroys everything. Nice metaphor for toxic masculinity. Anyway.
He does go complete evil and complete good. Because remember, there's the Maestro Hulk, who is a villain.
Yeah, the Maestro. That's like Hulk in the future, right? And then he becomes super evil and takes over.
Takes over the world, yep. There's also the Hulk that gets driven mad by Thanos, and the famous comic book the famous comic book picture with Thanos has him on a leash as a dog, and you could see like the bones of the other Avengers.
Yeah,
he had him
feed
killed.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like present day. I don't think this is ever the case when I was a kid, but Loki, right? Loki's kind of an anti-hero now.
Surely, yeah. He's definitely.
You don't think?
Definitely changed his step quite a bit in a good way. I like the way they're going with this character personally. It's wild compared to the Loki of the last 50 years in comic books. He's never been anything like that, but I don't care. It's really cool.
It looked like we had a disagreement in progress with Santi. Santi made a lot of huffs and puffs when I said Loki. He's an anti-hero, isn't he?
See, my view on it is all I've known.
You gotta get the words out.
I can't get the words out. Not gonna lie, I've only seen a few movies where he comes out, and all they portray him as he's this awful person. And then, so I can't really say. I've always seen him as a bad person. So
you didn't watch the show?
No, I haven't watched the show yet.
You should watch the show.
They turn
really
him.
Cool.
Yeah.
He turns. But it's kind of justifiable. Not that he's forgiven for being an evil murderer and all that, but he's. They do interesting things with his character, and he's very likable, and he is the hero of his show. And he's so egotistical. Wow. He kisses another version of himself.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, there's something to be said about these villains that eventually, like, they come out first as just villains, but then they try to show more dynamics of that person's character by being, I want to say, convenient heroes, because it's not like they want to help everybody, but it also is convenient for them to actually do the right thing at that moment. So that's where it just kind of becomes like the anti-hero scenario. But also Black Adam was kind of the same thing, right? Because he wasn't necessarily wanting to be good, but he had to be good for that moment.
R.I.P. Black Adam.
R.I.P. Black Adam. I didn't think that movie was
I'm
that
back.
bad at all. I thought it was good, dude, and I liked the way it ended.
I can't
Like, he
believe they
saved
kicked
the
The Rock
day.
out of the universe.
He was
Yeah, it must
good.
have been
Honestly, can't
something.
believe that.
It must have been a personality clash thing. I can't think of anything else. It didn't do great in theaters, but it didn't do terrible. And seeing The Rock
Yeah.
in more DC movies would be amazing, especially the way they ended it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
we only got so much longer with The Rock as these superhero characters, you know?
Yeah.
So it really sucks to see that one end. But we do have John Cena as an anti-hero.
John Cena!
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker. Wonderful show.
Oh my
He's a
God,
really great.
You don't like
What
it?
did he say?
Liz?
Like, I'll do anything for freedom, even if it means killing women and children or something like that.
Killing women, children. Yeah.
When did he say this?
In the TV show and on the movie, I think he says it.
Yeah.
Oh, what
The
They
Suicide
are in the
Squad movie.
second one.
You know, what is it? Please excuse me, audience. I'm just going to use the phrase male appendage. If it meant justice and freedom for all, I would choke on every single male appendage around me. I would choke on 100 male appendages. Like, he goes in, like, he's like
It's
one of the
so
best.
funny.
Yeah, you got to watch the show on HBO. Yeah, it's one of the, it's a funny character.
He's a big
But
dumb
Josh, I was
himbo. He's
hoping-
good with the gun. Yeah.
Yeah. I was hoping I would lead you to the Suicide Squad
Yeah,
as
Suicide Squad.
anti-heroes.
Great anti-heroes. And there's a parallel team like that coming out for Marvel pretty soon, the Thunderbolts. But Suicide Squad's a great set of anti-heroes, all of them. And I love that with Peacemaker on his show. When he's the big tough jock guy, but then he goes home, and as soon as he puts his head on his pillow, he just starts crying like, everybody hates you, you're so stupid. It was so funny.
Like, he's got such human problems. Like, his
Yeah.
dad still, like, hates him and thinks he's a waste of space.
Oh my
All you do is
Crazy.
mess things up. So that's the stuff we like about anti-heroes so much. Like, they're separated from being, they're not villains because we show their humanity, and we show, in the end, they're trying to do the best they can. But, really, all villains are usually doing the best they can as well, just not for the greater good.
Well, I mean, like, there's huge debates on this now that I gotta watch my mouth. Now that conspiracy theories are, like, going crazy, there's a huge thing that, like, who's to say that the villains aren't the good guys?
Right.
Because to them, what they're doing is actually good. Like, they believe in it enough to be considered crazy, to be considered a bad guy. Who's to say that to them, in their world, they're not the hero? It was very
yeah, like Thanos.
Yes. Oh, I love him for being horrible. When I saw the trilogy leading up to the end game, it was pure like madness. I don't know how to else put it, but I just pure villain, and that was like one of the better villains I've ever seen in other movies that they put out with other villains. He was just one of the best.
But in his world, he was the hero. Remember?
Yeah,
It's not
he thought he was
like, in
helping
his
the
head,
universe.
he was doing the right thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And Scarlet Web as well. I think she's
Witch,
good in her
Scarlet
own
Witch.
Scarlet Witch.
That's web.
Scarlet Witch. They portray her as a supervillain, but she's actually she's just going through a lot. She just needs therapy, It's okay.
She's just a mother.
She lost her husband, she couldn't have kids, so she created her own universe, She's a good person. She take care of the kids.
She's having a mental
Can
breakdown.
we be clear? She did not create her own universe, everyone. She manipulated an entire town of human beings.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Literal crimes against humanity, but we still like her somehow. And I agree with you. Like, I like her. I want to see what else happens with her. But just like Loki, like, you did some bad stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Like when she destroyed the other universe with Professor Xavier, and she just blows up their heads and stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Turns Mr. Fantastic into ribbons.
Snaps Xavier's neck. Oh, that was an interesting movie. Which that bothered me though the whole time because, like, okay, she has this magic book that's manipulating her, and she's just trying to get her kids back. But what happened to the first kids? The first kids she just created. Why doesn't she just create her kids again? What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
They're still real kids because you can rebend it. You don't have to go to other universes. Just make 2 more kids. Have 7 kids. I don't understand.
But she wanted the universe where they were real, where they were really there, where they were really hers, where they really existed.
Yeah, but what does real even mean?
Like, in a sense, though, like, you can't really... Can you replace your kid? I mean, as much as you can create more kids, the ones that you've bonded with, you can't really replace. So I can understand it from that aspect. But...
Liz, you have a Hispanic mother. You know the phrase, I brought you into this world, I could take you out, and I created you, and I can create another one just like you.
You see, if we go on based off that, I was never the favorite. Let's be real. When I was a kid, I was not the favorite.
Trauma just came out on the show. Trauma thrown into the show.
We can tell Jordan this too, because Jordan was the favorite. That was her godson. So for as far as I'm concerned, he was the favorite.
Right.
That was just what she put up with.
Oh no.
You know,
I made this one of the clips. Should I make this one of the clips?
Yeah, if you're
Josh,
if you're not the favorite, then you're never going to be the villain. The villain's always the favorite. They're the ones that are taking front, just keeping you down.
But don't the middle child or not the favorite makes you want to beat the villain more? Because it's like, no one cared about me. I'm going to show them who
who
I am.
Isn't that the villain from Shazam? Like, isn't that the villain in Shazam 1? Daddy never loved me.
Yeah. Well, this one's kind of a generic one. It's just fictional villains. We're already on that topic, but leaning more into just villains. What are some bad guys that like really made an impression on you, like in the cartoons when you were a kid or in a movie?
Ursula.
I mean,
Ursula. Yeah,
that's a girl.
That's a good one. Elaborate.
She's one.
The animated movie compared to the real life action is compared differently, because in the live action, Triton and spoilers if you haven't seen the movie, Triton and Ursula are siblings in the live action, but in the action they're not really related, and she just wants the throne for herself, because I guess no one really cared. And if you looked at the the third movie, the Ariel's Beginning, or the series, she plays a big part. Movie? It's a third installation, but it's basically the beginning where they're all like kids, and the mother was alive. And
oh wow, I didn't know any of this.
Yes, so Ursula was in the storybook, in the storyline for that. She was a mermaid. She was nice, and she started doing some witchy stuff that Triton didn't like. So she got banned. She got turned into a sea witch. So basically, I could say that Triton was evil on that part, and she was trying to, I don't know, have powers like Triton. So, but all she wanted was her. So she took someone who was really débil. I say débil. I don't know how to say it in English. Not weak, but
manipulatable.
Yes, and that was Ariel, because she wanted to do something out of the box that her dad was like, no, you cannot do this. And so she did her ways, and she was talking to them eels too. So, you know, go to her talking, being crazy.
Yeah.
So.
yeah. Those little street hoodlums, little eels.
Street. What about you, Liz? What villain made an impression on you? Like Santi's afraid of Ursula.
Two. There's two. So, I mean, well, technically there's three, but I'm just going to name two. So, in Mowgli, Shere Khan was the tiger.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was creepy for me as a child. I was like, why? But because I used to love lions and big cats. Like, I really, really liked tigers and stuff like that. Anytime we went to the zoo, that's where I wanted to go. But then we saw that movie, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to be in the proximity of a tiger anymore. Especially because, like, when you look at the actual story of it, now that I'm older, those things could be very plausible, right? So the parents could get attacked by an animal, and then their child is left to kind of fend for themselves. And we have seen studies where wolves will actually take care of a human child if they're young enough and protect them, because they take it over like a cub. But the other thing that I thought of was around dogs, because I love dogs. Cruella Deville. She's a fictional character, but she
Yeah.
was just in it for fashion. So materialistic reasons that she wanted the fur of these poor furry little animals. So I'm like, she's gotta definitely be probably my top 3.
Okay. For me, what about the cemetery from Pet Cemetery? That's a villain, right?
Definitely.
Because it turns everyone into an evil. And I remember seeing that as a kid. And the thing that got me, and like literally, you can make fun of me all you want. I'm comfortable with who I am. All right. Until I was like 16 years old, if I had to go get something like in the middle of the night, I would like thrust myself over my bed so my feet were never hanging over that little gap, right? And then I would jump back to my bed from a certain point in my room where I didn't think the little baby with the blade could slice my Achilles tendons like he does to the old man. Like that made an impression on my brain where I just couldn't hang my feet over the side of the bed because I was sick. Like all over your feet.
Yeah.
And then the first movie that ever gave me a nightmare was you're gonna make fun of me for this one too. I Know What You Did Last Summer. And the nightmare was like the hook guy came jumping through a window with the hook after me. And that was the first one I had. I didn't want to get stuck like a pig, like he says.
That's funny.
Those are legit fears. I don't know.
Absolutely, yeah. That reminds me. You awakened something in me where I was like, yeah, I remember now. One of my biggest villains was whatever was watching me while I took out the trash at night. I don't know what it was, but it was out there waiting.
Yeah. Do you guys remember? Go ahead, Santi.
Oh, I had something similar to that. As like when I was like 16 years old, I would stay up like 2-3 in the morning, or don't ever go to sleep, like sleep deprived, and then go to school. And so, even though I was like close to the kitchen, I would open my door, and then somehow I started hallucinating. I say hallucinating, but it could have been spirits. I don't know. And I felt somebody looking at me, and so I quickly turned. As I walked out the door, quickly turned, and it looked like an old woman, like someone like the same height as me when I was a 16-year, like maybe 5'7". And I turned and looked, and I freaked out, and I quickly like jumped back in, closed the door, and I was like, and all I wanted was to get like milk and cheese. And I did not want to get out of my room until the sunrise.
Do you guys remember the movie Urban Legend?
I never saw it, but yeah.
Old Urban. Okay, so you might have known this urban legend where the truck driver is scaring the woman because he's honking at her because there's someone in the back seat and he's flashing his high beams, trying to let her know there's someone in the back seat, and she pulls into a gas station because she's so afraid. And then she, like, it's an old grungy gas guy who obviously can't be a good person because he looks dirty, right? All these stereotypes we have. And then he's trying to warn her, like, wait. And she thinks he's chasing her because she's, like, beautiful. And he's this grungy old man. And then next thing you know, axe, head chopped off from the thing in the back of the seat. And that one got me for a little while. While I was in high school, learning how to drive. I drove, like, a little Honda Civic hatchback. So I used to always, like, I'd open the door. So, because remember, this is before cell phones and flashlights and all that. Not before flashlights, but before cell phones had flashlights. So I'd open the door to turn on the light in the car, and I'd look at the back seat before I get in the front seat of my car, look at the trunk, and then I'd get in. Villains stick with me.
I mean, it's like the movie The Others. Do you guys remember that movie?
Yeah, where she's a ghost the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
That movie made me, like, I still can't stand them to these days, the porcelain dolls, because her daughter was, like, playing with her toys, and she had all these porcelain dolls there. And then, if you look up history, how the porcelain dolls were made at the time, they would take actual hair from the child that it was being made for and use it for the doll. So I'm like, I don't want that in my house. Don't ever bring that in my house.
Get that out of here.
Far away from me.
You're just making a golem.
And spirits
still making golems.
And spirits can get attached to them. So if it's like a little child pass away, or let's say an elderly, and that was their favorite item, spirits could potentially attach it. Sorry, I'm going off tangent with spirits now.
Dude, spirits are scary, dude. For real, IRL bad. So these are actual villains in this world. And I just wanted to start with this one and just real quick, just mention like we have our Hitlers and our Stalins. We always leave out King Leopold, the King of Belgium, who took over the Congo and just completely the term crimes against humanity were like it was coined about him. He was the first one to have that mentioned. He's the first crime against humanity guy. Chopping hands off, torture, slaves, all of it, sweatshops. I think we don't mention Leopold II because it doesn't have as much of a ring as Hitler. You know what I mean? Hitler's just easier and rolls off the tongue better.
I would say definitely Hitler. We all know he was horrible. MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think she's a villain because she's one that tends to say that stuff didn't exist and try to promote that they don't exist.
She's
like, those were real people.
Villain. Definitely. She's such a bad, poisonous person. We're a real jerk.
Yes.
What's the guy that ran Liberty University? That guy's that tried to get the kid in trouble that he was paying to sleep with his wife.
Oh my God.
Jerry something. I can't think of his last name. Jerry, whatever. Jerry, the dean of Liberty University. That guy's a real villain. So there's a few of them, out there that still exist. There's a few in the world that I'm just going to be careful with. But how about Charles Manson?
Charles Manson. Yeah, people like Charles Manson.
Any cult leader.
Yeah, the cult leaders. They're the worst. I hate that because you're manipulating people and it's all ego and I don't know.
Yeah.
Like when you're a little kid, all your villains are on cartoons and it's people like the Shredder, and the Shredder's just bad because he wants to be bad. Like, what evil can I do today, right? And then you grow up and you see books like now we have characters, villains that are fleshed out, and they have a purpose. Like Thanos thinks he's doing something, blah 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 blah. And then there's also just the realization of real life where some people are just evil bastards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a Manson. Like he's just a bad person. He's bad. He's a psychopath. He doesn't care.
Yeah, who's dude that did Jonestown? Jonestown that murdered all
I forgot
his followers. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Then you had David Koresh, who had his people fight for the divine word, and they were all killed. And who knows? I mean, it goes both sides of that. There are villains on both sides, right? Because they're saying that the fire was set by Davidians. Davidians are saying that the fires were set by the SWAT teams. So there's villains on both sides. And then you have the murderers, like look up Charles Ng. Charles Ng was one in Wilseyville, which is a town right next to where I grew up called West Point. And he used to kidnap little kids walking to school. And he kept them in the caverns beneath his home, all the bodies.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dahmer. That was a
yeah,
big one
Dahmer.
that recently happened.
Dahmer was
A lot of white guys. A lot of white guys.
A lot of white guys.
Ooh. All right.
Oh my God.
Anyone else? Putin sucks. Putin's a big jerk. Who else?
Yep. I think he's a main, like for modern day, he is something that we can actually say is pure villain. He's not there. I don't think there's a good bone in his body.
No, not one.
That's just a personal opinion. I have a nephew who is Mexican and Ukrainian. And so that always hits kind of home for me because his mom's family had to flee.
Wow.
And I just kind of wish that if we could go back in a different life or go back in time, then we could be able to prevent something like what's going on currently.
Yeah.
But I don't think you could change someone like that who there's not one good bone in his body.
No, yeah, Kim Jong-un too.
The series of events that led
yeah.
him to be that person, there's nothing you could do. You know what I mean? It's not like a rosebud situation where, you know what I mean? Anyway.
Yeah.
Moving on. Bullies. Speaking of Putin, just bullies in general. Do you guys get bullied? Were you the bully?
Yes.
Both?
Go ahead, Santi.
Both.
Was your bully a villain?
For sure, yes.
Yes.
Well, okay. So I've dealt with online bullies that went to my school that I didn't figure out until later on, and I was like, really, you're and I say this for like the love. He was a scrawny nerd, and I could punch him and he could be like, "Oh, like a twig."
Mm.
But but yeah, it was mostly online bullying from my school, but not in
That
person. No one faced up for that, but but then I was also a bully, I guess, when I got older, and I just have, I didn't mean it. It just came out as I guess being a bully because I did not want to associate with this person, but I had my reasoning. There's nothing. I didn't think anything was wrong with this person or anything like that. But to other people, I was considered the bully because my perspective of these are the people I want to talk to or socialize to, and not these people.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
I don't think I was ever a bully. I'm a teaser. I tease a lot. Like, but if I don't tease you, I don't like you. That's like the truth.
That's
like if I'm not teasing you, like you and I aren't cool. Like if I just we're not cool. I've never been like the bully. It's like, give me all your lunch money, nerd.
Yeah.
Come on, Four Eyes. You want a wedgie? How about a purple nurple? No, I've never been that. You know, I've never been that that bully.
Right.
But yeah, I've always been a pretty hardcore teaser.
Mm-hmm.
That's in our blood.
Yeah.
Puerto Ricans, you know.
Teasing.
Right.
Tease,
Yeah. Actually, yeah. I was definitely bullied, but I feel like I'm kind of, I don't think I was the bully, but I was definitely a teaser. I liked to cap on family members and friends just to kind of like poke fun, but it was never with bad intent. And I know that there's a couple family members who bullied me for years to the point where I don't speak to them anymore. But one incident that I remember with a mutual cousin that Brandon and Fry and I have in common, we went to the same school. He was playing basketball. He brought his basketball from home, and some kid took it from him and was going to continue to play with it. Our time was up to go back to class. He wouldn't give the ball back. I went over there and I defended my cousin. You're going to give him his ball back. Little did I know that guy had an older sister, and they followed us home. So if it wasn't because I had a German Shepherd that was in the front gate, they probably would have got to our house and tried to beat me up, all 5 girls. That became an issue until I left that school because they would put stuff in my locker or whatever the case would be.
Wow.
But like, if you're gonna fight me one-on-one. Like I am a Latina. I'm gonna fight you I'm not gonna fight you with like 5 other girls on top. Absolutely not. I was defending my little cousin because your brother was being a douche. Like it's just one of those incidents.
And let's all be honest here. I don't think any of us have kids. Kids are dicks.
No.
Like, kids are dicks. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I know, like, I'm not saying I don't love the kids in my life. Like, I love, like, my nieces, my nephews, but, like, kids are assholes. And I think at a good moment, parents will admit it. In fact, one of our co-hosts admitted his kid was a dick just a couple episodes ago.
Yep. Yep. I was a dick. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I've been bullied.
I was a little asshole.
I've been bullied. I've moved around a lot, so it was like usually when I was bullied, it was just a process of like reacclimating to this new environment, right? So like I went from Louisiana having a mullet to Arizona where everyone thinks I look like a girl because I'm like 12. I got the, still got the boy face. So I have this long, weird Roseanne kind of hair. I don't know.
Roseanne.
I don't know, but it was normal in Louisiana because it's southern. It's like, I don't know. But so I got bullied a lot for stuff like that. But I, it's one of those, you just learn how to be funny and fit in, I guess. But there's also times in like middle school where I would jump in to the crowd where the crowd's bullying a kid, and I was a little asshole who was just trying to fit in. So I like, yeah, him. He's the, you know what I mean? I'm really ashamed of those moments. But it's middle school. Everyone has a tough time. Yeah.
Yeah. You mean to tell me you didn't have a beard this whole time?
Yeah, since I was 4. It's been like the same size. Born with a handlebar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so brought up a good point too.
Oh, go ahead.
That bullying tends to follow now online. It follows you now online. versus
I
when
didn't
you were
have
at
that
school
experience.
and whatever.
Yeah, me neither.
Social media
Yeah.
is just it can be tough because you can see popular people get hit with backlash or just
Mhm.
bullying, just some sort from their like used to be fans or just in general. You don't
Right.
know them and they're just gonna because you're not gonna see them in person, so their mentality is probably like, yeah, I'm not gonna see you, so I'm gonna just talk mad dog,
Mhm. Yeah.
We love
about
the
you.
rise. Love the rise. Love to tear you back down and then
Yeah.
love to come back. It's a vicious,
Mhm.
disgusting circle.
You just take one bad selfie and then, haven't you hear just blah
Yeah.
blah blah, it just develops into this whole thing. For sure.
Mhm.
One
Oh,
bad
yeah.
plastic surgery operation.
One bad dog fight.
What's next, sir?
All right, let's see what else we got here. Boom. Get it. Love to hate 'em. I wrote this thinking about Rowdy Roddy Piper, Razor Ramon, all the big bad heels in pro wrestling. Just love to hate those
Ric
bad guys.
Flair.
They're so good at their job when they come in and just ruin everybody's night. And they spit in people's faces and they slap the baby over there and then they do the body slam. And then the good guy hopefully wins, but not every time. I love those kind
I've
of
got a
villains.
good one. I think I got the winner here. I think I got the nuts. King Joffrey.
King
Joffrey.
Joffrey. Yeah, Game of Thrones.
That was the one. Yeah.
Man.
Oh.
You loved to hate King Joffrey.
Yeah,
And you
dude.
hated him with a passion.
Yeah.
That little blonde jerk that was
Yeah.
abusing women
And he
and
doubled down every
killing
episode.
animals.
You know what I mean? Even up to his well-justified terrible death, like even up to that moment, you're like, when's this guy gonna die? Oh, I hate him.
He was the worst.
I mean, he's so bad. He was
absolutely
so good at being bad. The actor had to stop acting. Well, that's the rumor.
Yeah, he quit acting.
Yeah,
He
because
quit
everyone
acting.
hates him.
I read that too. Yeah.
Hate's a strong word.
Also,
Seriously,
Lucius
dislike.
Malfoy and his
Right.
father.
Yeah, Lucius
Yeah.
Malfoy, but I think his dad was worse.
Yeah,
I
his
think,
dad was straight up KKK. But yeah,
Yeah.
the early films, Malfoy was a real turd, bud. He was a good bad guy too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Helena
Yeah.
Botham Carter's character, the cousin,
Yeah,
she was a
Bellatrix.
hateable villain. Yeah.
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 Perfect for that role.
Yeah.
Man, she was so good. Of course,
100%.
Walter White.
That's a childhood crush of mine.
Oh yeah,
Really?
Helena
Miss
Botham
Carter. I've always loved her.
HBC.
Yeah.
Oh, have you seen Fight Club, Lizette?
Yes, I have.
Oh my gosh.
She was the typical crush for a lot of younger kids.
Helena Botham Carter. She had
Mhm.
it. She had everything a little kid wanted.
And who's the other lady? They're not the same at all, but she was in that earthquake movie with The Rock. She was his ex-wife. They were in the helicopter together.
Oh, I can't think
The
of her.
San Andreas
She's a-
movie.
Yeah, San Andreas. She was in. She's been in
Yeah.
a million movies, and I've had an equal crush on her since always. Anyway,
I'd have to look her up.
Sandra
I thought of
Bullock?
another one just now, right before you pull it. No, it wasn't Sandra Bullock.
Oh.
But the girl from Gone Girl, Rosamund Pike's character, I can't think of the character's name, but from Gone Girl, she was a villain. She was what was she? An antagonist?
I think she was an antagonist, if I'm not wrong, but
But you hated, like, you knew you rooted for her, but you knew how gross and evil she was at the same time.
Very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
there's also I mentioned it earlier to Josh, Negan. Negan's character is one
Negan,
of those
perfect,
that you
yeah.
love to hate because
Mm-hmm.
for me, I've seen Jeffrey Dean Morgan in other shows. I
Yeah.
watched him on Supernatural where he played John Winchester, and that was like one of my favorite characters in that show.
Good show.
But
Mhm.
to see him, yes, really good show. I want to see if he'll make it to the Winchester show, the spinoff, but I don't think he will.
Probably not enough money
Now
for him.
he's on a whole like a spinoff with The Walking Dead, and I think it's called Dead City or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's one of those villains you love to hate because it's just his personality. He makes things where you're like, okay, I can see that, but you hate him at the
Mhm.
same time because he unalived Glenn. Like you can't really
Can't
He
really walk that back.
unalived Glenn.
Glenn.
That's such a funny way to say it.
Oh, that's the trending way to say it, because you can't say some words on some social medias, so we say unalive and such.
Oh, thanks for calling me old.
Yeah.
What's
Old
next?
guy! Yeah, me too, that guy. Well, I think we'll go... No, let's just talk about this. Villains by Ambition. This was Lizette's idea. It's a pretty good idea. Who was... How you started this? Your idea that
So
started
if
this
you really
topic.
think about it, my idea. Okay, so I have a shirt on right now that has the Jurassic Park logo on it. You can't see it, but that's what I'm wearing. And when you really think about it, every scientist in Jurassic Park throughout all of the installments of it have been the villains, and so has John Hammond, because he's funding the scientist to bring the dinosaurs back, and then it starts to kind of morph into splitting genes and creating new dinosaurs, hybrid dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't done with bad intentions. They were literally like people who grew up knowing dinosaurs had existed. They wanted to know what it would be like to see one in real life, but it did not turn out the way they wanted it to. So I feel like those are the accidental, curious villains.
Yeah,
Every
like a
scientist
Frankenstein
in the
type.
movie. Everyone. Yeah.
Often scientists are the bad guys. Like Godzilla, the scientists who made Godzilla, bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about the Empire from Star Wars?
Ooh.
The Empire is a villain of ambition. They had ambition to conquer the entire galaxy, but to them, were they villains? Or did they think they were doing the right thing?
That's a good question. I often think about the average Empire employee. They just have a job, right? They're obviously Nazis. That's what they are. And the Emperor is pure evil. But like the rank and file, there's families, kids, and I don't think they all necessarily know they're blowing up planets and stuff.
Yeah. I think another one too, guys. This is a recent one in a really bad Wonder Woman movie. Wonder Woman 1984. Pedro Pascal's character was a villain by ambition with the Wishing Stone.
Oh, Wishing Stones. Okay.
Yeah, that's actually a really good one because that is more recent.
Yeah, that one, he was definitely, because remember at the end he regrets it. He looks around at all the destruction that his wishes have caused, and he regrets everything, and he really just wanted to spend time with his kid, I believe, was what he was trying to get out of that, and they let the power take a hold of him.
And that brings us back to Scarlet Witch. Like, Scarlet Witch was just single-minded and didn't care what got in the way, and she was very violent. But going to more trending stuff, like last week episode, Oppenheimer, right? The real life villain by ambition. He's just a scientist, but he's got that famous quote, "I am become death," because he invented the atomic bomb and changed everything forever. Yeah. Pretty wild. I wonder how that
depends on what side you're on. I also think it depends on what side you're on.
Either side you're on, you know that you're the one that you are responsible for the potential death of millions, no matter what. It's your fault.
He considers himself a villain, but also, like, they would have found another way. There would have been another arbiter of death.
Eventually,
something else would have happened.
At some point. He couldn't have stopped it. He couldn't have stopped it, no. You're right.
Not you, then who?
Right. But I think that goes into with any villain, right?
Yeah, you can say that for any villain. But if there's a big spaghetti mess in the kitchen, you could say, well, we're going to make a mess eventually anyway. Or you could say, I'm sorry I caused this spaghetti mess. I'll clean it up. You know what I mean? That's a weird, reaching metaphor I just made.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought you were going for an analogy the first time you did it, and then you turned it into a metaphor. And I was like, what's he doing right now?
I don't know.
where are we going?
Definitely spaghetti.
You're right, though,
is
Josh.
my new band name.
Yeah. When I make a spaghetti, I'm looking to make a spaghetti mess.
Yep. Mess it up.
Santi, what about you? You're the only one that hasn't gone. Who's your villain by ambition?
So besides Scarlet Witch, Scarlet Web. So it's more okay. So it's an anime, and in a game as well. Pokemon. There's one. There's one in the Hoenn region, and then in the Sinnoh region, where the bad guys are really they're trying to be the good guys, but do they really know that they're the bad guys? And because one of them wants to create a new world and start over and make sure this world is better than before, because there's so many problems with this world anyway. So just wipe it all out. Use the legendary Pokemons to create a new world, essentially. And then the other, for Pokemon Hoenn, it's more, one team is like, we need more water. We need more water. It's going to help us grow. And then the other team is like, we need more land for more structure, for more buildings. And so they will do anything. They will do anything to make sure that we get those.
Yeah.
That we get those done. And so
they'll violate the land's resources.
Yeah,
yes, but they're doing it. They're thinking that they're.
Yeah.
And they're thinking that they're doing it for good. Huh?
You got me to another one right before Josh is getting ready to sign us off. But how about these villains by ambition? Pinky and the Brain.
One is a genius, the other's insane. You think is Pinky a villain though? I think Pinky's just an emotional support pet.
You're right. That's the Brain is definitely the villain though. I think you're right. Pinky doesn't really know what he's just going along for the ride. You know, Pinky believes that Brain's his best friend, and Brain could live without.
Yes.
Yeah. You feel so bad for Pinky because you're Snow.
Dexter.
What
He's
about
done
Dexter?
He's done some stuff that he regrets for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Lots of that going around.
That one hit a chord.
No, okay. Oh, sorry. Are we talking about like Dexter's Laboratory?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Villain
I thought we were talking about the action. Well, yeah, that's true. I agree.
Dexter. You talking about Dexter? They should do a mashup.
I know.
Dexter in Dexter's Laboratory.
I had to get my shows right before I say something.
Yeah.
But Dexter is another scientist. So is the Brain.
Yeah.
Scientists always the villains.
Yeah, science as the villain is a very common theme. It's interesting going that way, and it's based on people like Oppenheimer or whatever.
Yeah. One of your favorite movies, Josh? 12 Monkeys.
12 Monkeys. Yep. Bad guys. Or are they the bad guys? But yeah, your Pokemon story reminded me of a lot of those elements are present in the Attack on Titan series as well. Like bad guys all along, that sort of thing. What we couldn't have stopped it anyway, but we're going to try. And me and mine only. All that. It's pretty cool. Oh, time for bed. See you guys later. Anyway. This has been the Gorp Show. I hope you guys had fun talking about some bad guys. Maybe we'll go good guys next time. Or not. Who cares? Anyway,
Bad guys gone good.
Wild guys gone good. Yeah, you can reach us at the TheSadFan Podcast Network on the Spotify and our link tree all over the place, wherever your podcasts are sold. I'm JR Berkeley on the gram. We are at Gorp Show on Twitter. Thanks for coming out, guys. Say goodbye.
We love you.
No way.